What's going on, guys? I figured since I had this apart, I had to replace the laser that's bad in here. I don't know what took it apart altogether in the first place. So I got these already loosened up. This whole assembly just lifts right out like that. So we really need to be working with. This guy slides into this port right here. It just literally slides right in. There's a weight here to keep it in place underneath the other board here. And you just pull it out real carefully. You don't need any tools or anything. There's no clips, nothing like that. It just slides right in. You got to be careful. Sometimes you want to take a little compressed air, blow it out a little bit. Dust gets in there. Some stereos have this set up too. It'll keep these pins from connecting, and they're so tiny. As you can see, the wires are so little, they're little contacts, and it won't work. So you kind of want to keep that clear. Set this off to the side here. Now this is our CD assembly. Obviously, this piece sits on top. This goes in here, the drawer goes in, all that kind of fun stuff. And what we're doing here is we have to remove this silver piece down here from the top of the other component. And the easiest way I've found to do that is to flip it over carefully. And as you can see, there's these screws here in the corners. And they're kind of difficult to get to. They have springs on them, so it carries the weight and doesn't cause vibrations. You want to take these out real carefully. I use needle nose pliers to get stuff out that's kind of tough to get to. Guy's loose, alright. Be careful not to damage these wires here. I know how to solder, but I don't really want to. One of those kind of things, you know. Once you get these all loosened up, screw popped out, alright. Needle nose pliers, there you go. And as you can see, these screws are real tiny, so you do not lose those. Yeah, I don't know if I showed you guys before. This is a little tray I got with a magnet in it. Holds all my screws, they don't go rolling around all over the place. I don't like digging through carpeting for screws. It's not fun. Especially when you have cats. They like eating screws and stuff. They look shiny. At this point, this piece does move up and down. It doesn't hurt anything if it does, obviously, because it's meant to do that. You just want to make sure you're not pressing on it. Like I said, I'm holding here to keep from bending anything as I'm pushing down with the screwdriver. If you bend things, little tabs tend to break, and I'll show you here in a second what I mean when little tabs. And if the little tabs break, pretty much you're screwed. They're so tiny you can't glue them back on, and you're going to have issues trying to get everything to line up and stay put. Again, I'm putting all of them on that little magnet I got. Okay. Now, we are lifting up. Now, these springs can come out too. They kind of stay put sometimes, sometimes they don't. And we got this here. Now, they sell pieces similar to this on eBay. The real difference is they don't have a couple of these clips are missing. And a little bit different. These things aren't there. Those are for the Sega Saturn. They probably have something like this somewhere. I haven't seen it on eBay. Now, I was talking about those little clips here. There's these little clips here. And you see this rod that goes through. Basically, what this does is, as this gear turns, this thing goes back and forth along that rod. And when it's like this, you can't get it off, obviously. There's no screws or anything to hold this in. There's another trick here with the little clip it rides along against as well. So what we're going to have to do is we take this gear, the white gear, off. We're going to bend this little pin back and slide the rod out. And that's how it comes off. Now the tricky part is, I don't know if you guys can see it, here's the screw, or the gear, and down here, way down the side, there is a shaft that goes through, and at the end of it, it has two little prongs that spring out. Now what you got to do is you got to take your handy dandy needle nose pliers. I'm going to turn the gear so it's easier to get to them. You got to pinch those prongs together and pry up on the screw. So I'm describing it because I don't know if while I'm doing it you guys are going to be able to see me doing it. And all the while you got to be careful that you're not pulling these wires off of this board here, because that is the drive motor for the drawer and everything that goes in and out. You don't want to break those. I'm going in with the needleless pliers and pinching them together and pushing up. There we go. Actually went pretty easy. If they have lube, they go quicker. There we go. It comes out and there's lube on it. I don't generally add lube to it. Sometimes if it's dry, I will. But this one looks pretty good. It wasn't too dusty inside. It doesn't look like it came from a smoker's home. So it's a little fuzzies in the gear, but we can clean that up later. So what we're going to do now is pry this piece out of the way. And then I have my pliers here. I'm just grabbing the shaft with the pliers, and you push a little bit. And that's all it was. See, now that little piece is bent out of the way here. And the rest of the way is you just push this rod out as far as you can, and this guy will pop right off. And I'll do that here real quick. And we can grab it on this side. Now, I don't want to pull it all the way out because you got to realign these pins, and it's kind of a pain. So now, because the gear's not here, this laser can move. And it comes right off of that rod, like so, and then you can lift it up. And on this side, there's just a little tab here that rides on that track. So here we go. This is our laser, and you can hear it rattling around. That's the lens that's actually probably loose. And right here, you have a little ribbon cable, same as the other one. So you want to be careful not to tear it or anything as you're disconnecting it. Here we are. There's tabs on the bottom, not on the top. That's how it connects into the laser, as you can see. This laser is a KSS240A. There's a couple places on eBay that sell them. I get them from a guy out of California. I assume he gets them from another country, but the guy from California, they're usually about 15 bucks a pop with shipping. It's not bad. And they come looking just like this. Literally the same thing. Actually, I got one right here. I'll show you. Comes in a little container. It actually comes in a pad envelope and then this container. And this container's pretty bulletproof. I mean, it looks just like the same thing. And here you go. You can see the back side of it. The sticker's a little different. Obviously, it's not 20 years old. But the pins are all there. The pot thingies to turn the pots, which you probably shouldn't mess with, are there. And they paint them so that way you can tell somebody screwed with it for warranty issues and stuff like that. Again, here's that little tab. It's going to go right in this track again. And then this side is where the rod goes through. So again, you want to get it lined up the same way. It's kind of hard not to line it up the right way. And again, no lube on here. If you guys want to, you can put lube. I've used real light oil, stuff for like a hair trimmer. That will work. Obviously the grease they use is kind of hard to get, and if you get it, it usually comes in large quantities. You don't want to use anything like petroleum oil, because sometimes that will dissolve plastic over time. You also don't want to use things that are automotive applications that are designed for heat, because obviously this doesn't get that hot, and you're dealing with plastics, not metals. So you kind of want to stick to things that are for lighter duty applications, like I said, hair trimmers. I've even seen people use vegetable oil, but then you might have issues with like cockroaches and bugs trying to get into your game system. That is probably not what you want. But so we got this here. Just for fun, I'm going to blow out the pin here just in case on shipping. Get a little dust or something. Connect our ribbon cable. Just line it up. And I pinch on both sides real firm with my fingers like this. I got kind of big fingers, so it makes it easy. And I push in nice and slowly and firmly. If you try and push one side or the other, you can sometimes bend things. I try and push it in square and straight. Pop that back down there. And line up that rod first. This tab is in. If you can see that. All it is just two little fingers like this, and just right in there. There we go. Alright. And then you got to push your rod in. You make sure you line up the other side of the hole though, because there's two holes, one here and one here, that the rod goes through, and you want to make sure it's going through both of them easily. If you got to force it, it's not right. Alright, so now through both of them, got our pliers again. And remember this tab that's here. Once I pull it through, it's just going to pop into place. It keeps the rod from coming out as the tray's going, or the CD laser is going back and forth. So, pulling it in, and see it just snapped into place. And this rod is totally seated in the back here. Sometimes these pins break, I have seen. That's kind of a pain in the ass. On the other side of this, I'll show you something else that breaks a lot too that I've seen. But now this laser's in. It's totally seated. Let's put it forward the way it was. And we have our gear now. This guy goes right in this little hole here. And what it does, these little teeth, where's my little pointer here? These little teeth right on the inside of here, it's the inside part, little teeth, drive this, are connected to this drive motor here. This drive motor does everything from moving the laser to spinning that. So it has a band that goes across here. And the shaft here is lubed because it spins, obviously, and these gears sometimes are lubed too. Like I said, I'll get it later with the oil. Maybe I'll show another video. And you want to lube this track right here. Now, you can do it when it's already assembled. You can do it when it's after assembled. Make sure you run the system a couple times. I found after I did this the one time, it didn't load the game the first couple times I tried it. That's because it wasn't quite lining up because the stuff wasn't worked in all the way. Run the system a few times, it will read. These lasers that I get from the guy, again, it's on eBay, it's like 15 bucks. It's from California. Can't remember the user seller name or whatever it is. But the logo he has, instead of having a picture of the unit, like most of the other ones from China do, he has like an American flag and it says Sega CD laser or something like that in the picture. He doesn't actually have a picture of the laser, but I've gotten a couple from him and they actually work really well. Some of the other ones I've heard are hit or miss. They're coming over from long distance and box gets jostled or something, and that's the end of the story for that laser. Alright, so you pop it in and just push down. Those two little fingers pop back open and it keeps it from coming out. You can make sure it's all lined up. There you go. Now ideally, gear to gear you won't need lube. The issue comes in if there's any dirt or anything. Basically the lube is it keeps the gears clean from the dirt. And when it does wear a little bit, it kind of gives a little suction to stick to. The grease they use, like I said, it's kind of hard to get in small quantities like this. And you want to be careful with what greases you do use because you don't want to deteriorate the plastic or anything. These gears, 20 years old, they're not fresh, they're not strong as they were. Plastic is brittle as it gets older. And you kind of want to limit the pollutants, and so to speak, you're going to be putting into this. So flipping this back over real carefully, make sure your springs are all back in the same places they were, and those little rubber bushings. And make sure your wires aren't pinched or in the way. And line it up here. Again, another video I showed you guys how to align this tray. Nothing of what we're doing is changing that, because that's the gears that are up here and here. That won't change anything with what we did here. The only thing you want to check is make sure it is still aligned, but usually you won't have an issue. So we take our little screw, and I'm going to start with this guy over here because it's the easiest to get to. These ones are the trickiest ones to get back in the right spot. My fingers are way too big to do it by hand, so I use the little needle-nose pliers. Okay. Trusty screwdriver. And I failed. But yeah, it takes a little bit for big hands to get in little places, but oh, that's going to be a pain in the butt. Just having all sorts of issues. Well, anyway, that's how it goes. That's how you get the laser back in. Again, looks just like that. And once you're done, once you're gonna have it installed in the machine, you got to remember to reconnect this, the ribbon cable that's inside. Otherwise, it'll boot. It'll go to the home screen, and it won't do anything else. And then you'll sit there going, "What the hell did I forget?" That's what you forgot. Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you too. The other things that break too, I've seen. There's a tab right here. This whole assembly, there's a pin and a pin, and it acts kind of like a door hinge. So this whole thing swings up and down. That's how you get the level coming up and down. This back here doesn't move, it just rotates. But there's a pin here underneath this screw. Sometimes this breaks and this tray slides forward. Sometimes you'll see them on eBay and they'll have alignment issues, or it used to work and now it doesn't. I don't know what happened to it. It just stopped working. Well, this pin probably broke. That's the issue. Sometimes these pins break here that hold the tray in place. Sometimes this clip is missing. This pops out, and this is how it goes back and forth. You can pull it straight out then. And the other issues everyone is always talking about is there's switches in here. When the drawer is all the way out, it hits one switch. When the drawer is all the way in, it hits another switch. Basically, that tells it to either turn on the CD and start spinning the motor, or it tells it to open and eject, saying, "Oh, okay, I'm open. You have to put the CD in. We'll stop spinning," and then it's an on-off switch essentially for the different systems. Those tabs sometimes break, or the actual switch top of it will break. And those, obviously, there's other YouTube videos of guys talking about those, and that will cause issues too. But if you find one that is working, but it's not reading discs, odds are it's a laser. Again, these lasers are designed to work, for a certain amount of hours, and then that's it. Once they give up, they're done. These systems are, built in '92. It's now 2014. They're kind of old. They're running out of life. So there you go. Hope this video helped. Again, that's how you install a laser. Just line it up and put the screws in, and I'll do that off camera so you don't hear me swearing at myself. Have a good one, and good luck, and happy gaming.